Now, as you see, it's my video, so I'm doing whatever I feel like. Today, we're going to do essentially a tier list involving pages. You know, your wooden, your PVC, and glass, my least favorite. But now you just know. Anyways, roll the intro. So as you see, tier list, very simple, floating head Cameron. We're gonna put all of them down below. Now, where is this option? It means they have not been chosen yet. It means everyone starts off on the same level, and we get to break down their flaws and what makes them good. And then they get to go all the way to here. Yeah, makes sense? Cool. Bet, let's do that. The thing with PVC, you know, we're gonna talk about them first because I wanna confuse what people are thinking. You know, they probably think I'm gonna do glass or wood first. But my experience of PVC has been fairly limited compared to the others, so I want to get them out the way. A good quality PVC enclosure that you can buy, build, or whatever is gonna cost a good penny. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna build one, here's where things get interesting. So like a 24 wide sheet, 48, will typically run you about $30. They do typically go up in price and drop low because they have essentially stock prices. You know, they constantly influx. You know, 1 week they're 40, next week they're 70. And as you know, that sheet's fairly small and can be somewhat difficult to get at a local store, which means you have to pay shipping fees, which add up and, you know, can take time, get lost in mail, or just a whole bunch of issues that you don't really want to deal with when you're trying to build an enclosure. But on the other hand, with PVC, one of the coolest things about them is that they last probably the longest amount of time. We're not talking about glass yet, so my notes aren't out, but a PVC enclosure will last 25 to 30 years, a good quality one. You know, granted, I'm assuming if it's like your first PVC enclosure you build, if you build it good and not just I screwed them together kind of thing, then I can see it probably lasting a good 15 years if it was even done half-assed. Yeah. Pretty interesting, pretty nice, and I do think one of the other biggest perks about PVC enclosures is that they look good. They look really good all the time. They look nice, they look clean, they look very laboratory, if you ask me. They're up there in appearance-wise, if you ask me. So, I think where I'm going to put them is, honestly, hear me out, right now, this could change later in the video, I think they're going to go in, like, the A, you know, the little A spot. Yeah. Let me know what you think about that choice in the comments. I also forgot to mention one of the biggest perks of PVC is that they're modifiable, like wood. We'll talk about that later. But a PVC enclosure, let's say you need to have a stick coming this way to this way, boom, bam, bing, you need to have it screwed into a wall. You can do that. They're extremely moddable, and that's what I also really enjoy about them. They were genuinely going to be option one over the wood. We're going to talk about glass now. Yeah. Well, we're back here, we're talking, and what did you expect? It just skipped not even less than a minute ago. But guess what? We're gonna talk about glass. So glass enclosures, pretty interesting. They love them or hate them. They're probably everyone's first enclosure. You know, they're the cheapest. They're the most frequent to get. You can walk outside and grab them off the street. That's how easy they are to get. They are plentiful. They're like, it's like herping, guys. Let's go herp for glass enclosures on trash day. That's the kind of things you can do with a glass enclosure. That's a huge benefit, to be honest, because they're so easy to get. It means prices honestly genuinely can't be discussing, because see, you can buy an enclosure, a nice glass enclosure, for $300. Most people I know just wait till someone sells a glass enclosure that they bought off somebody else who bought it off somebody else, and they bought it off somebody else for $20, or they gave them some crested gecko food. You know, you can get glass enclosures genuinely for nothing if you're in the reptile hobby and just know a couple people, if you get what I'm saying. You know, just ask the right people and you can probably get one for free. Hell, guys, some of the enclosures I've kept my false chameleons in, when I've had like 14 of them, were just given to me. You know, because I had like an extra enclosure, and he's like, oh, you want another? I'm like, yeah, sure. And you know what I did? I'm like, I'm gonna put another pair of false chameleons in that. But one of the other cool things about our lovely glass friends is that they do have a pretty long lifespan of, you know, being able to be used. or they have a downside that is related that we're going to talk to after this, is that, well, they typically do last, 20 to 30 years, nice high quality made and all that. So yeah, I have no idea how long it would last if someone made it themselves, but I don't make glass enclosures. I don't even really cut glass. The things behind me are, oh, I'm sorry guys, things behind me are plexiglass. I don't like dealing with glass, it's fragile. But notice the word fragile, that's going to lead into one of their biggest downsides to me. The reason why I've started building my own enclosures. Glass enclosures genuinely weigh so much, right? They just always weigh so much when you put a little bit of stuff in there, and they're very flimsy and fragile. Bump something too hard, everything's broken. You set it down a little too hard, you can crack the fang on the bottom, that piece, yeah. And then if that happens, you know what's gonna happen. It can break. So they're extremely fragile, and that's why I genuinely didn't like them, because I always had it in the back of my head, what am I gonna do if, let's say, something just falls, right? Something I drop. Someone walks in and they drop something, guess what? A side of the enclosure is busted through. My animals have glass in their enclosure. They may get glass in them, and now I have an enclosure with animals that are, most of the animals I keep are pretty skittish. So now I'm thinking, what if that happened? Oh my God, I would have to catch an animal with broken glass, or worse, have to catch them in my room, and they don't even have a place to go when I catch them. Make it make sense. That's why I personally don't like glass. So for that big, like massive downgrade of me, I'm gonna put them right here in C tier. Hate me all you want, they're still an amazing choice, and genuinely their best perk is the fact you can get them literally anywhere. And I'm so real when I say you can walk outside and get some. I've literally done that. You can get them anywhere. That's their biggest perk. But their biggest downside is that they break. They can break because they're glass, which is now why I don't use them at all. I love that. Last part of the video. I know our time's been short this video, but I'm enjoying it, and I hope y'all enjoyed as well. Sub and like and share to all your friends. So, wood enclosures. As you see behind me, down here, right there, and something over here. I like wood. I like building things out of wood because, one, like the glass, you can get wood at any hardware store. You can get thickness of any kind, different types of wood, birch, oak, pine. You shouldn't use pine if you're building enclosures for animals. But you get what I'm saying. You can get wood fairly much anywhere. But, it'd be kind of unfair for me to just blaze something I do so much, film about so much. So I think we're gonna talk about negatives first. Yeah. So pretty much the biggest negative about wood is that when you build a wooden enclosure like that, right? You cut it all up, do all this and that. Guess what's gonna happen? You have to screw it together, which is more supplies, right? Here's where it gets real fun. Before you dry lock it, which is something you're gonna have to buy, which can get pretty expensive depending on how much you get and how many enclosures you're gonna build, because if you're gonna build one, you can get the little one and you'll be good. But if you're gonna build a lot, you might as well get the 5-gallon bucket, which can cost $150 to $200, which adds up a lot pretty quickly. But, once you do that, you have to start seal all the side with caulking. You have to dry lock them 3 times, correct? Right? You got it? 3 times. Once it's all done, the enclosure has been sealed. Now it's completely ready for an animal in exactly 20 to 48 hours after being sealed to let all the fumes dissipate. And in my personal experience, when it comes to an enclosure, since they are trying to be sealed, trying to keep everything tight in there with a door and a mesh, I typically wait 3 days before anything actually goes inside a wooden enclosure once it's done. Yay. That's one of their kind of downsides. But if you ask me, it's pretty enjoyable. It just takes a lot of time. Wooden enclosures take the most time to build versus glass or wooden. But the biggest perk though is wood's fairly inexpensive. So you can do, if you make a mistake, you can fix your mistake fairly cheaply. And that means if it's cheap, you can do a lot of them, hence the whole room. That's personally one of their biggest downsides in my opinion. But let's talk about one of the biggest pluses of a wooden enclosure, which is that a wooden enclosure can be anything you want it to be. For example, we're gonna move this. Great, amazing. For example, this enclosure right here is about 36 inches tall, 18 wide, and about I believe 24 deep. Watch the video on the screen. I built this enclosure in it. You'll get the exact measurements here. I'm pretty sure I'm on point, but I could be wrong. That was going off head. This enclosure costed me $100, give or take. Probably less, but the wood I bought for it was $40. The screws, I think I spent $20 on the big old pack, and the plexiglass is another $20. Then I use this plexiglass, cut this door, and I believe one of the doors down here. So yeah, about $100, give or take. That's one of the big perks of that. So that allowed me to basically build what I want to size for my animals, which is a huge perk to me. I like being able to give them a little more than what is typically considered the minimum, because for example, keeping a pair of this species, the bare minimum would be a 24 tall, 18 wide, 18 deep. They have more room than that, and I think they really enjoy it. The eggs I keep getting really tell me they do. So yeah, that's the biggest perk of it. Then as well, the customizability, like I mentioned with the PVC, you can do this here, but my idea, my little mind tells me you can do that more, just off experience. You're more likely to cut into a piece of wood you spent $40 on than the $250 enclosure you just bought. Yeah, I'm right. I am. Unless you're an expert on that kind of stuff or really good with it, and then you just wouldn't care and you just go, yeah. But I think we're gonna put wood right in A tier, just above PVC. So my opinion, it's better, but to most people, they're genuinely gonna be same benefits, same perks, and they really do basically the same. Biggest difference is cost and availability, in my opinion. End of the video, sons and daughters of Skyrim. So real quick, as you know, this video may have dropped a hint here and there, but this video is actually a recommendation by a fan of the channel, and I've done this twice now. When this video comes out, it'll officially be twice. I'd like to do this more often, so in the comment sections, drop some video ideas you want me to make, and let me build up some ideas, and hopefully once a month at least there is one video that a fan was like, Cameron, Royal Anoles, whatever your name is, weird haired guy, whoa, make this video, it'd be super cool. I'm like, okay, sure, let's get it done. You see what I'm saying? I'd like some ideas. Let's see what I can do. Let's try to foster some community into the video.